You know those campfire stories? The ones that feel a little too real? The kind that stick with you long after the fire's gone out? Well, we're about to break down a story just like that. It's a seriously chilling tale told one night in the mountains about a dark family secret and a terrifying generational curse.
Okay, so right off the bat, the source for this story makes it very clear this is all for entertainment. So with that in mind, we're not here to fact check it, right? Our job is to dig into the story itself and try to understand what makes this legend so unbelievably terrifying. And it all kicks off with such a simple question. What starts as just a fun way to pass the time around a fire, well, it ends up unlocking something way more personal and honestly a lot more horrifying than anyone was ready for.
All right, so picture this. A snowy hill in Shimla. You've got 4 friends camping out. And what do you do to pass the time? You tell horror stories, of course. But when it gets to one of the friends, Chandan, he kind of changes the game. He doesn't have some made-up tale. He says he's got something real.
Yeah, he looks at his friends and says, I don't have a ghost story, but I have a true incident that makes my soul tremble even today. Whoa. I mean, you can just imagine the vibe around the fire, right? It totally shifts. This isn't fun and games anymore. This is something that genuinely haunts him, a memory from back when he was a kid in Jharkhand.
So Chandan's story begins not with a ghost, but with a death. He explains that his family had to travel to their village because his grandfather had passed away, pretty unexpectedly. And he says from the second they got there, something just felt off. The whole atmosphere was unsettling. And this is where we get the first, major red flag. Chandan remembers his grandfather being totally healthy, but when he sees the body, it's just wrong. The face looks weak, sunken, and it's turned black. I mean, what a shocking thing to see. It made absolutely no medical sense. Then there's this place. Behind the main family house, there's this old, kind of falling apart hut. That's where the grandfather lived. And for as long as Chandan could remember, that hut was totally forbidden. Like a huge rule. None of the kids were ever allowed to go inside. So, you can imagine what's going through young Chandan's head, right? Why? Why was this one room, his own grandfather's room, so off limits? All that secrecy just made him even more curious, and maybe a little scared too. Okay, so the mystery gets even deeper because they have to delay the funeral. And Chandan's dad starts getting really frantic, saying that keeping the body in the house for too long isn't just, bad form. He says it's dangerous. So they actually have to pack the body in ice and just wait. The tension must have been completely unbearable. So while everyone's waiting around, that curiosity just keeps eating at Chandan. And finally, it wins. He just has to know what's in that hut. He tries the door, but it's locked. So he sneaks around to the back and finds a window. And when he peeks inside, wow, his gut feeling was right. This was not a normal room. The walls are covered in these weird, mystical-looking symbols, and he sees a strange crack in the floor near the bed. Yeah, something is definitely deeply wrong here. And just as he's processing all this, he hears his dad call his name. He panics, right? Scrambles to get away from the window and run back to the house. But in that rush, he makes one tiny mistake that's gonna have huge consequences. He leaves the window open. Okay, fast forward to later that night. This is where things really go off the rails. Chandan can't sleep. He's lying outside, near his grandfather's body, and his dad is asleep next to him. And then, in the quiet, he hears a sound, a scratching sound. He looks over and sees this bizarre, animal-like thing crawling on the corpse. He grabs a stick, runs at it, and poof, it just vanishes. Gone. He's standing there, totally confused, and then he feels it. A presence right behind him. He turns around, and it's his grandfather, standing up. But something's wrong. He doesn't look human. And before Chandan can even scream, the body attacks, digging these sharp claws right into his chest. At that exact moment, his father wakes up, sees what's happening, grabs a shovel, and strikes his own father's reanimated body, taking the head clean off. But it's not over, not even close. As the body drops, this thick, black smoke just pours out of the neck and shoots straight into Chandan. So, complete panic. The family calls for the local priest, who comes rushing over.
The priest takes one look at Chandan, stares right into his eyes, and he knows. He's the one who finally explains the absolutely terrifying truth of what's going on. He tells them about something called a Narrah Phantom. It's a spirit from the local folklore, and it's a stubborn one. Once it gets into a family, it just passes down from one generation to the next. Turns out his grandfather was the host. That whole hut, the symbols, that was all to keep it contained. But that open window, that was the escape route it was waiting for. It got out, and it claimed its new heir, Chandan.
The priest then explains a little more about this thing. It looks like an animal, and it lives in a pit in the ground, which of course explains that crack Chandan saw on the floor. And here's the crazy part. It doesn't usually hurt living people. Its main diet is the dead. The only reason it attacked Chandan was because it thought he was trying to mess with its meal.
But getting rid of this thing isn't simple. There's no quick fix. The priest lays out this long, intense ritual just to contain the spirit. For 12 years, Chandan has to wear this blessed necklace, and he can never take it off. And this is the worst part. Once a year, on the exact anniversary of his grandfather's death, he has to be locked inside that terrifying hut for the whole night. And just like that, we're back at the campfire. The story's finished. And you can just imagine his friends, right? Sitting there in total stunned silence, just trying to process this absolutely insane story they've just heard.
Finally, one of his friends asks the one question that is on everyone's mind, the question you're probably thinking right now too. After all this time, is it still inside you? And Chandan's answer, it's simple and it's completely bone-chilling. Yes, it's still there. The curse, the ritual, it's not over. He tells them that on that one night a year, when he's locked in the hut, the Narrah Phantom comes out.
And that's it. That's where he stops the story. He leaves his friends and all of us with this final, awful thought. This isn't just a scary story from his past. This is his present. This is still happening to him every single year, which really only leaves one question unanswered, doesn't it? What in the world happens inside that hut on that one night of the year